Hey, first step to drawing lips. Technically, you're supposed to learn anatomy. But we don't need that here. Absolutely the fuck not. So the first thing we have here is a reference. Step 1. Do not fuck it up. Okay, I was just kidding. Step 1. Add background color. You can choose any color of your like, but here I'm choosing grey color because it helps. Step 2. Sketch those juicy lips.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
So first start with drawing a circle and then follow the steps that are shown in the video. Just copy them. And don't worry if you mess up, it's just a rough sketch layer. We're gonna draw it in a proper way in the upper layer. So I outlined it and it immediately started looking like a fish who's seen too much. This line art is giving nervous breakdown in a dentist chair. And kids, if you ever feel useless, just remember, I erased it and redrew this line like 12 times, just to make it worse. But wait, why does it look like the butt of a sea lion? Anyways, who cares? We're still gonna use lasso tool and fix it. Yes!
No! God, please, no! No!
Now add another layer for the base color. Step 3. Adding base color. So here I'm using pen fade as my brush and now we're adding the base color. I picked this pale peachy tone because it reminded me of my ex. Bland, disappointing and slightly orangish. Actually, just kidding. X never existed. So here I'm adding a slightly darker color, reddish brown. Now you might ask me why am I doing this, because as you can see in the reference there is a slightly darker shadow formed by the upper lip. To show that, we add this darker color. Unless you want a 2D bland lip.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Now add a slightly darker color on the upper lip. Remember, do not shade the entire upper lip. Leave a little part on the mount. For the lower lip, use a slightly lighter tone of the same color. Now we darken the middle section a bit to show the shadow. Now we're gonna add a little bit gradient to this bland looking lip. For that, I'm gonna use a slightly purple bluish color and brush it over the corners of the lips. Use an airbrush to do so. Remember, you have to lower the opacity and not make it too dark. See, I've erased it because it became too dark. You have to keep it light just to give it a little gradient. Also remember, this is done on a different layer. Do not do it on the same layer of the base color. To give it a 3D look, we add a slightly lighter tone of the same color pink that we've been using since the very beginning of the video. And why am I doing this here? To show the bulge of the bottom lip. Because remember kids, it's the highlights and the shadows that make a bland art look 3D. Now we blend. And by blend, I mean smudge. Colors like you smudge the truth on your resume. Blending lips is like being in a toxic relationship. At first, it's all soft and cute, and then suddenly it's patchy, confusing, and makes you cry. Or to outsmart everyone, you can use the blur tool to blend, because it quite literally does the same job. But here I'm doing both hard work and smart work to blend it, because some areas definitely need special attention. Now we move on to step 5, adding shadows. Here's a little lifesaver art tip. Never ever use complete black color for the shadows. Use a slightly darker color or maybe a little more darker color like maroon, magenta or dark brown, depends. And this art tip helps literally every freaking wear because it does not make your art look so out of place. Instead, it looks like a match made in heaven. Now, I'm making this line even more prominent because in the next step we're gonna remove the line art to check whether the lip has attained its shape or not. And here we go, it has! Hooray! Congratulations! But yes, it still needs a little more prominent separation line. At this point I literally forgot if we were on step 5 or 6, but now when I'm editing it, yes, I remember we were on step 6, adding highlights. It is literally the most Delulu stage for every artist ever. Time to add highlights, aka the dilution stage. This is when you convince yourself the painting is finally coming together, literally the most satisfying part of the entire painting process. And well, this is the final detailing phase, where your brush shakes, your eye twitches, and you start questioning if it even looks like lips anymore, or a baboon's butt. We'll never know. I'm finally adding a few more highlights here and there just to make it look a bit better. And here's the difference without and with highlights. And here is a bit of an extra part because your artists love to be a bit extra. Because what's the fun in being a mediocre person? I'm trying to add an extra element that was not there in the reference because of course I'm not trying to copy the reference. For copying the reference, you can literally print it out. That's why there is a printer made, especially for copying stuff. Here is the final stage, adding your signature, and then merge all the layers except for the background, then duplicate it, and in the filters option play with the hues and saturation as much you like. Then lower the opacity of the above layer and choose the perfect settings, whatever you like, add, screen or dodge. Well, that's it for the tutorial. Good night.